in very broad terms, I mean, there are some outstanding issues that we're dealing with. There are some ancillary points that we need to deal with. But in broad terms, we feel that it's a significant deal for our members. We think it is unprecedented in terms of both its length, but also the fact that it addresses ongoing IRP, but it also looks back and addresses the real-term losses in pay that have been experienced since August 2019. That's what we set out to achieve in our pay claim in 2025. And as I say, aside from some ancillary issues that we need to work through, we're very pleased to have reached this conclusion.
Of course, just over 20% of the membership actually took part. So does that really give you a mandate to accept the offer?
Absolutely. I mean, we would like clearly for there to be a greater participation from our members. The feedback that we were receiving very much was that members were broadly comfortable with what was announced at Budget 2026. Clearly, that would have then fed through into a lower participation rate. So, yes, we'd like to have had a more resounding turnout, but the yes vote itself was overwhelmingly in favour of accepting the pay deal. And therefore, in a democratic process, we don't have any thresholds in terms of how many people should be voting. In the same way, last year we were being criticised for seeking to take industrial action against the turnout. Likewise, here we will take action in terms of the turnout we've received. So we'd like to have had a higher turnout, but we're comfortable to be accepting it based upon the turnout and the yes vote that we received.
It does seem quite low. Do you take that as a sign of people just not being enthusiastic about the deal itself?
No, I think it's the reverse. As I say, I think members are actually comfortable and are pleased with what was announced, and as such, because it's not particularly contentious, they've taken the view not to participate in the vote. Had it been more contentious, had the percentage points been less, had it not addressed the real-term losses in pay that we've previously spoken about, I would have anticipated that participation rate being much higher. So I think it's more around a kind of a comfort with the pay proposal, and that's fed through to the turnout. As I say, for those people who actually took part, when we're looking at basically 3/4 of those who took part voted in favour of it, then clearly there's a mandate there in respect of accepting the pay offer, and we have collectively advised government of Unite's agreement to the pay proposal for these 5 years. As you'll be aware, we will ballot on the next 5 years in 2031.
So in your press release, you said discussions continue, and you've mentioned that there are still issues being discussed. What are these outstanding issues at this point?
So we need to work through the mechanics of the automatic analog now to the UK minimum entry salary. As you recall, we did a deal with government, Unite did a deal directly with government in relation to the minimum entry salary for 25-26. Members should see the back pay regarding that in their pay packets anytime soon. As part of the announcement of budget, there is now that automatic analog now to the UK minimum entry salary, so we just need to work through the mechanics of that. We're also speaking to government in relation to the second half of the pay proposal, so 2031 and onwards, in relation to the IRP plus 1% up to a maximum of 4%. Question one is, does that apply to everybody equally, given that the first 5 years we had to split at 100,000? We anticipate it applying equally across the board, but we don't want to make that assumption. We need that clarification. We've also asked the question as to whether if IRP plus 1% is in excess of 4%, will there be a carryover into a further year to recover that additional part that's over 4%, which has been a feature of the pay proposal for the first 5 years. We've also asking the question around what is the resolution to the equalisation of the old age pension to 60 for men. Our assumption is that men will now require less social insurance payments to get a maximum pension. That kind of is common sense really in terms of the number of years that you're working. But again, we just want that clarification. And we do have an ongoing conversation with government in terms of those higher earners above 100,000, because we're conscious that the proposal around limiting the increases, in addition to the lack of increases that they've had over the period since 2019, will cause some recruitment and retention problems in key areas, particularly health, but also in education.